If your clothes never fit properly, the problem is not your sewing, it may be your pattern. Today I'll be showing you how to draft a professional basic bodice from scratch, even if you're a complete beginner. There will be no confusion and definitely no skipped steps. The basic bodice is the foundation of almost every female garment. From dresses to blouses to corsets, everything starts from this pattern. So if you master this, your sewing level will change instantly. In this tutorial, I'll be breaking it down for you step by step. Before we begin, these are the materials you'll be needing to draft your pattern. Next, you'll be needing your measurements. Accurate measurements are what separates amateur from professionals. Now I'm just going to be drawing a starting line on both sides of my paper. You can skip this step if your paper is straight enough and you're sure you will get accurate measurements. Now the next thing I'll do is to divide my paper into two so that I can draft both my front and my back at the same time. Now to do this, you are going to be dividing your biggest body circumference, whether it's your waist, your hip or your bust, by 4, and you're going to be adding 1 inch or 1.5 inch if it's your waist. Now this is done because of the dart intake you'll be taking on your waist. So now I'll be drafting my front bodice on this side while I draft my back on the other side. The next thing I'll do is to take all my vertical measurements from my shoulder to my bust point, my shoulder to my waist, and my shoulder to my hip line, and I'll be rolling the vertical line across those lines. I'll also be doing the same thing for my back, from my shoulder to my waistline and then to my hip line, and then I'll roll a vertical line across those points. Pardon me, I made a mistake rolling my hip line and I just had to adjust it at this point. That's why you see I'm rolling a new line and cancelling out the old one, and I'll do the same thing for my back. Now to get my accurate hip points for my back, I measured what I had at the front from my front waistline to my front hip point and measured the same thing from my back waistline to the hip point. This will give you a very accurate measurement. Now if you notice, the front bodice is actually longer than the back bodice because the front has to accommodate your bust, which will add some inches to your measurement. The next step is to take my shoulder measurement. Now your shoulder measurement will be your round shoulder divided by 2. So if you have shoulder 16, you divide it by 2 and you have 8 inches, which you place on your shoulder line. And you'll be doing that on both your back and front pattern. The next step is to mark your neck measurement, and for this pattern I'll be using the basic neckline of 3 inches by 3 inches at the front and 3 inches by 1 inch at the back. And you use your French curve to connect those points together. If you are getting value from this video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like and share with your friends and family. Now watch this part carefully because most beginners get this wrong. Now the next step will be to draft my shoulder slope. Now this is very crucial because it acts as a hanger for the entire garment. It determines how a garment is going to sit on the body. It affects comfort, fit and overall drape of the fabric. On the front pattern, I'm going to be coming down from the shoulder line by 1.5 inch, and on the back I will be coming down by just 1 inch. I'll use my straight ruler to connect from that point back to my neckline to form my shoulder slope. In order to be able to draft my armhole, I'm going to be getting my chest line, and for that I'm going to be dividing my bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5 inch. Now watch this part carefully. The measurement I got for my chest line, I'm going to be taking it from my back shoulder slope. Now because I want it to be equal with the front, I cannot take the measurement exactly from my front shoulder slope. Instead, I'm going to be taking the overall measurement from my back shoulder line to the chest line, and then repeat that same measurement from my front shoulder line, and I will get my accurate chest line measurement. After rolling a line to connect the points, I will just be labeling it CL for chest line. If you miss this step, you're going to be having a poorly fitted garment. You know that as ladies, our backs are not all that straight. We have a little bit of curve on the waistline. I'm going to be going in by 0.75 inch on the back waistline, and I will connect that point up to the back neckline and down to my hip line. After that is done, the next thing to do would be to draft my armhole length, and this step was very important to be able to get my armhole length accurately, especially for my back. To draft my armhole, I'll be taking the exact measurement I used on my shoulder line, which is my shoulder divided by 2, and place that same measurement on my chest line for my front. For my back, however, I would not be taking that measurement from the original line I had before. Instead, I'll start from the new line that I drew out. And I'll connect those points back to my shoulder slope for both the back and the front bodice. To get our armhole curve, we're going to be dividing our bust circumference by 4 and adding about 0.25 inch for ease. Now this is done because we do not want our clothes being too tight around the bust area. So I'm placing that on both my front and my back. The next step is to shape my armhole. I'll be taking what I have from my shoulder slope down to my chest line, divide that by 2 and mark the point. On that point that I marked, I'm going to be going in by 0.5 inch. And then I'll use my straight ruler to connect that point back to my shoulder slope and then use a curve rule to connect from that point to my bust measurement. Your armhole determines comfort. Too tight and you can't move. Too loose and it looks unprofessional. Now I'm going to be repeating the same step for my back armhole, but instead of going in by 0.75, I'll just go in by 0.5 inch. If this is already helping you, tap the like button so YouTube shows this to more people who want to learn sewing. Thank you. Now before I move on to my next step, I'll be taking all my vertical measurements. On my waistline, I'll be marking out my waist measurement divided by 4 and then I'll add 1.5 inch for my dart intake. I'm also going to be repeating the same measurement for my back, starting from that 0.5 I went in by. And also on my hip line, I'm going to be marking my hip circumference divided by 4 without any extra allowance. I'll do that for both the back and the front bodies. Next, I'll be connecting the 3 points together from my chest line to my waist and use the curve rule to connect down to my hip line. The same thing also at my back bodice. The next step is to mark out my darts. Darts are what transform flat pattern into a garment that fits the human body. To get my dart measurement, I'm going to be taking my bust span, which is my nipple to nipple, and I'm going to be dividing that by 2. I'll place it on the waistline, on the bust line, and also on the hip line. I'm going to be taking that same measurement at the back, but I'm going to be starting from the 0.75 inch that I went in back. To get a straight line for my back dart, I'll place my tape on the original center back line and measure it to the dart point. The reason why this is done is because if you take your measurement from the 0.75 intake, you will have a very bent line and your dart will look wobbly. To prevent this, I'll take my measurement from my original center back line and use the same measurement on both my chest line and my hip line, and then proceed to connect all the 3 points together. Now the next thing will be to take in my darts, and I'll be taking that on my waistline. To do this, you can use 1 inch, 1.5 inch or 2 inches. What you're going to be doing is that whatsoever you decide to use, you'll be sharing that into 2 and placing one half on the side front and the other half on the center front, as you see me do. And with a straight ruler, you're going to be connecting those points up to your bust point to get your dart legs, and also connecting that down to your hip line. In some cases, you can go up on your hip line by 3 inches before you connect the dart leg, or you can connect it directly to your hip line. Whichever one you choose, it works really fine. After I'm done with the front, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing for my back. The only difference is that from my chest line, I'm going to be going down by 1 inch before I connect my dart legs to it. Also remember that before connecting your dart legs to your hip line, you can go up by 3 inches before you connect them. At this point, our pattern is almost ready and I'm so excited about it. How do you feel about it? Now we know that our front bodice is longer than our back bodice. If we cut it out and sew this way, it will look very funny. So we have to rectify this. To do that, we have to take a bust dart. We'll get the difference between our front and our back bodice, and we're going to be coming down from our bust line by that difference. So if yours is 1 or 2 or 3, you're going to be coming down from your bust line by that measurement. The next thing to do is to connect that point to your bust point. So that way, when you close your bust dart, you'll have an equal front and back bodice on the sides. So if you were to go up on your hip line by 3 inches, this is how your darts would look like. I'm just trying to show you how that would be on both the front and the back bodice. If you've watched up to this point, please leave a hi in the comment section so that I know you are at this point. Only professionals will do this. I am just rechecking my measurements to be sure it is still accurate. And if it is not, I will do all the adjustments on my pattern. I'm just forming a little triangle on my bust that measurement so that when I fold it in, I would not have any shortage. Once you have this bodice, you can create countless designs from it. You can adjust the neckline if you want. You can do a princess seam. You can do a corset or whichever thing you want to make from this basic bodice. Amazing. I'm just going to be cutting out my pattern and I will just allow you watch and see how I cut out every part. Note that no allowances were added to this pattern. All my allowances will be added on my main fabric. After cutting out my front pattern, to be able to close my bust dart, I have to slash through the dart line on the front bodice. Just watch closely and see how I fold this in. I'm going to be overlapping my bust dart to my bust point line. That way, my front bodice and my back bodice will be equal on the sides. I have successfully closed my bust dart and I can cut through the line correctly. And this is your professional basic bodice block. Now you can go on to create countless designs from this. And once you master this bodice, I'll show you how you can transform it into multiple dress styles and sew a properly fitting outfit. If you're serious about mastering this, consider subscribing to my channel.